Welcome back to Movement Professional. I'm joined today by my colleague Maddie. Today we're going to look at the concept of loaded mobility and specifically the exercise, the arm bar. And there's a lot of different ways you can do the arm bar. Today I'm going to talk about it from a perspective of how it helps shoulder external rotation and some things to look at. On top of talking about loaded mobility, we're going to just look at the broad concept of how to look at joint mobility as a whole. So we're going to look at Maddie's posture. We're going to look at her alignment, but also think about the direction that we're actually trying to improve. So when we talk about something like external rotation of the shoulder, that's a direction of the joint. So we have to understand where that comes from, what the shoulder is, and some things that would be compensations that actually take us away from that direction that we're trying to go for. All right, so the first thing I'm going to have Maddie do is, without any type of load, I'm just going to take her through the arm bar motion, and then we'll add some load to that and just discuss the difference. So let me have you lie on your back, Maddie. Okay. We'll have your right arm go up towards the ceiling like you just did a chest press. Okay, you're going to bend that right leg. The left leg will be straight, and then the left arm will go overhead. So we start in this way. Eventually she's going to have a kettlebell in this hand. So one of the things I like to do before the weight is there is make a fist for me. Okay, I'm going to push down on your arm, and naturally someone will just give you a little resistance back, because if I push down hard enough, you'll just crumple there, right? So push back into me, give me a little bit of matching resistance. This idea of sort of reaching back into me is going to be important whether we're here at the starting point on her back or when we go to the side, is there's this sense of elongation through the arm and strength, because the heavier the weight gets, the more it's coming down, you got to fight back against that. Okay, on this left side of her body, she's nice and long, and then what I want you to do is roll over that left side. So she has no weight right now, so how she gets there kind of doesn't matter, but ultimately you want to get all the way to your left side. You're going to rest your left ear on your left bicep, and then you can put the palm of your left hand down. Okay? So now you're nice and stable there. Imagine you have a nice heavy weight. Think about your bottom leg reaching away from your bottom arm. So you have this nice long body on the bottom, and that gives you a nice foundation here. With this top leg, it's going to be like a 90-degree angle. Sometimes you can put something there if she feels uncomfortable with it, or for hip, but it's okay to just right now have her leg resting there, because she's doing a pretty good job of keeping her top hip over her bottom hip. But that's important for this exercise. We don't want, for this sake, to have her leg go like that. We just want to generally keep the hips stacked as much as possible. One assessment I can use, if I just push down on her hip here, does that feel okay? Does that pinch in your hips at all? And I just feel like I'm not sliding her hips one way or the other, but I have a nice solid base there. So now this is going to be the arm that we're looking at. So for shoulder external rotation, where the shoulder is, it is this arm bone, the humerus, and the socket of the shoulder blade. So just so we know about what we're looking for, and generally we're just taking the humerus and we're rotating it that way. So that'll make like the pit of her elbow face more in that direction, as opposed to towards me, would be moving a little bit away from me. All right, so what often happens here to compensate, though, are two things. One, the most common thing would be, as you start turning your shoulder that way, you're going to want to squeeze your shoulder blades together, because that's going to make you feel like you have more strength and more support, but it actually takes you farther away from the direction of external rotation, because it's not coming from this ball and socket of the shoulder. Now it's coming more from the act of the shoulder blades moving together. The other thing that's very common is the shoulder might want to shrug a little bit. So we want to look at reaching a little bit to the ceiling and then creating that rotation without squeezing the shoulder blades together. So that's going to be our general idea of what we're looking for. And then when we add the weight, this doesn't feel like much right now, I'd imagine, right? Because there's no load here. Even if I put a little bit of weight there, now you start to feel a little bit of shake, right? So we're going to add the weight so I don't have to be the one pushing down through here. But this is the whole idea of loaded mobility, is you want to find a load that actually helps the mobility. In this case, her having a little bit of feedback, one, it'll give her a grip that she can work on some grip strengthening and anchoring, but also it just gives her a little bit of feedback for working on something that she might not otherwise work on. If it's too heavy, she won't be able to work on it. She'll have to shrug, or she'll have to squeeze her shoulder blades together. Otherwise, she would drop the kettlebell. All right, and then the rest of what we're looking at here, it's a core exercise. We have to make sure that we're keeping this line. The bottom leg is in line with the bottom arm. Hips are stacked, and we don't want the lower back to excessively arch or round. Okay? So now I'm going to have you go back on your back, and I'll give you the kettlebell this time. All right, so how you start holding the kettlebell matters. So when you open your hand, I want you to get the handle really close to your wrist. Squeeze it pretty tight. All right, elbow as straight as can be. And these knuckles are sort of flat, right? So this wouldn't be flat, right? And you're gonna just grip it that way. It might press into your forearm a little bit now. If that was a problem, then we can put just some type of support there, okay? Bend this knee, bring yourself over to my side. This is gonna reach to the ceiling. And if this is the first time we're introducing this, I'll guide that kettlebell. She's doing a great job. All right. Now I'll get on this side, and this is again where I'm really focused on here. Now they have a little bit of load on there. I wanna make sure that she's really keeping this space between the shoulder blades as open as possible. All right, because that is gonna be, the more this is open, the more she's doing work for external rotation. The external rotators of the shoulder are back of the shoulder pretty much. So I can feel, is that active? And that's what I'm just gonna bring my attention. Do you feel some work happening here?
Yes.
Okay, so as you imagine that your arm is just subtly going in that direction, you wanna feel that more, and you don't wanna feel this more. All right, and then I'll just feel up here, and that feels like she's not doing too much work there. So we're looking for a little bit of a wobble. The other thing that's important here is the pinky side of your hand tends to correspond to more work in the external rotator. So if you can get the grip to the pinky side of your hand more than even the thumb side, or just at least as much as the thumb side, you'll feel a little bit more work. You also might feel a little bit more wobble. So we might hang out here for like 10 seconds, have her roll to her back, or I might just keep a longer timer on for a minute, just have her get used to that. And if there's a little bit of a wobble, that's good. If there's too much of a wobble, we go lighter. If there's no wobble, we need to go heavier. All right, so this becomes one of my favorite exercises just for helping people understand this relationship between the space between the shoulder blades, the back of the shoulder, and actually where is the shoulder and what is the direction of external rotation. So if we add the breath into this, anytime you breathe in, think about reaching longer, all right? Anytime you breathe out, don't lose that reach. Tighten your middle. Just engage your abs, okay? When it's time to breathe in again, reach and roll towards that external rotation. Exhale, maintain that, more abs, okay? And then again, we just repeat that for the allotted time. All right, now to come out of this, slowly roll to your back, demonstrate control, keep reaching up. Two hands grab the bell, bring it down to your center. There you go, you're done.